Hi, my name is David Paget-Brown. I'm the Senior Vice President for Operations for Modec, and I'm going to talk to you today about a new product called Metatrove that we've recently released. So why am I talking to you about Metatrove, given all the interest and focus that everybody has on generative AI? Um, the reason being that while this is a new and emergent technology that could completely revolutionize business processes, we strongly recommend that you need to clarify the business value that you want to achieve and not get lost in the hype cycle. You need to establish a clear roadmap on how to avoid getting lost on your journey in order so that you can innovate and differentiate yourselves. So what are the challenges on your journey towards embracing generative AI? We found that our clients struggle across multiple categories. One is actually understanding where their data is, um, adhering to regulatory demands, uh, inconsistent and poor quality data, and then being able to integrate heterogeneous data from diverse sources to maintain the correct context to feed these generative models. And then also security, protecting that data so that as it's used in a generative AI response, you're not violating any security principles. And then the other challenge is the efficiency. It's all well and good trying to do these innovative things, but you cannot lose sight of your costs. So our perspective is that we need to learn from our past. As Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So what we're saying is let's avoid the creation of yet another data swamp. Um, I've heard too many stories of how clients have invested millions into instantiating a data warehouse or a data lake, and then after a year or so, they can't find anything, and it really fails to release the value that it was meant to have. So apply structure and discipline to the data that's being inserted into the vector database to drive your AI models. Understand the data that is needed to enable your Gen AI use cases. Don't try to boil the ocean. Bring in what data is needed to help the model perform most effectively. And establish realistic goals for what you're trying to achieve. Focus on what business value are you going to release. Without that focus, you ultimately will struggle. So we recommend that if you want to progress on this path, that you first of all understand your goals. What is it that you want to achieve, and how are you going to achieve it? Set firm guardrails so that you prevent scope creep. And basically, anytime you come to a decision, ask yourself, is that decision pertinent or relevant to the goal you're trying to achieve? Because if the answer is no, then don't do it. That's one way of preventing scope creep. Start small so that you can demonstrate success and start building credibility with regard to bigger goals. Demonstrate that you were able to achieve success on a smaller scale and then go increment as you learn more. And then ensure that your business stakeholders stay aligned. Um, the goals that were set, make sure you continually revisit those. Are we still on track? Because strategic imperatives change, and you need to make sure that you are stay in alignment with them. The step two in our process is to really understand your data. You need to have confidence in what you have, how true, what's its integrity. You need to understand what security rules apply to what attributes, what data should be removed. Does that data need to be standardized or normalized in order for insight to be generated from it? Who are the stakeholders involved in the pipelines providing the data? Because they have the responsibility for defining what data quality rules need to be applied. Rather than the downstream consumer. The downstream consumer can manipulate the data to meet what they expect it to be, but ultimately the upstream provider needs to be responsible for the data quality. And then do you need to enrich the data that you have either with external or other data sets that you've purchased or acquire? So that's step 2. Step 3 is automation. Embrace automation to accelerate your path forward. You need to demonstrate, or we feel that you need to demonstrate actionable results in weeks, not months, in order to maintain stakeholder buy-in. And we also believe in a solution that enables immediate implementation. No real infrastructure demands to set it up. So this is where Metatrove comes in. It's a lightweight solution that can profile and inventory your data using automation. It can be deployed within your ecosystem very easily, and granting it access to the metadata associated with the repositories, both structured and unstructured, is the next step, followed by the release of crawlers, which go through and gather the metadata, and then optionally, if they've been given access to the underlying tables, will profile that data. And this takes about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the scale of the environment. And then after you have that inventory, then you go forward and develop a roadmap to optimize your Gen AI journey. So what is the value proposition of Metatrove? Well, it enables smart data discovery with the data spiders that can crawl through your system and gather the metadata to understand what you have and all of the metadata, or I should say all of the data. You really want to understand everything, both structured and unstructured, and you want true 100% coverage. We've had clients that have data sets that no one knew what they were, where they were, who were using them. Let this inventory solve that. Metatrove has a dashboard to sort of show you what's going on in real time. And then the data profiling, which, as I said, is an optional activity, enables you to profile the data so that you truly have an understanding of the domain ranges, the relationships between entities and attributes. And then automated data tagging. So we have this data fingerprinting functionality that matches what it sees with an existing structure so that it can infer probabilistically that this attribute is really meaning this business concept. And then data domains are a way to group your findings into logical areas to help the business owners understand what data they're dealing with. And then Metatrove, enables a search functionality so that depending on your use case, you can go in and actually search to see exactly what you have in your landscape. So Metatrove can help multiple people, ranging from your chief data officers all the way down to your IT managers. Metatrove offers functionality that enables them to perform their roles in the most effective way. So we feel that with Metatrove, you can unlock your data inventory in 4 to 6 weeks, as I say, depending on the scale of your environment. We need 1 to 2 weeks to get Metatrove enabled in your system, so access to the metadata repositories. And then in 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be able to create a detailed profile of your data. I meant weeks 3 to 4. And then weeks 5 to 6, we'll develop the roadmap for you.